programming and the number of artists that we were displaying and bringing in. And so we decided it was time to move. The wonderful owners of the former Downtown Discounts building, the Prices, have been wonderful partners to us as we've tried to figure out how to expand and get into that building. It's a lot more building. As I said, the old space was 1,200 square feet. The new space is about 23,000 square feet.
You over doubled there.
Yeah, exactly. So but we filled it. It didn't take very long. Well, I should be careful about that. We filled that first main level, which is 7,000 square feet. But that allowed us to really open up, let the artwork breathe a little bit, give our classroom space some more room too, and a little bit of privacy. But it's not going to stop there. We have some big plans coming up. It's really, a lot of things are in the works right now. We've got obviously some repairs. We're in the process of purchasing the building. Thanks to the Prices, they've given us a really nice partnership that we didn't have to buy it right out, and we could afford to be there until we had a plan, and we've got a plan. So, that's kind of it for the building at this point, but we do, like I said, we do have some big plans. We have some big plans for the second floor, turning it into some potential event space, perhaps an artist in residence apartment. We have that second or that mezzanine, that sort of half floor. When you walk in, you see it right away. We're kind of slating that to be some office space and for rental, and then the basement is another 7,000 square feet that we hope to turn into really dedicated classroom and workshop space. So a woodworking studio, a ceramics studio, a printmaking studio, more 2D classrooms, additional gallery space. So we're turning this into a really just robust, well-rounded arts center. That's our dream.
I don't know, man. I think you more once people get a look at what you have right now, you're going to draw in a lot more art.
Yeah, we already are. I mean, it didn't take long.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, some of those spaces that you've been talking about may have to be designated to some more art.
Yeah.
I mean, again, folks, you have to come to see this place to understand fully what Anna's talking about here. I love the spacing.
Yeah.
You walk around, it's comfortable, it's open, it's just a good feel when you walk through those doors.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you meant to do that, but it happened, and it's a great accident if that's what the case is, because for me, it has allowed me to kind of walk around and just accept this is art done by people who love what they do. It's a passion.
Definitely.
So I know I can sit here and try to use every word to describe it, but the fact of the matter is, go in there and feel for yourself.
Yeah. Come in, check it out. It's it's not like a place that you're allowed to come in and just walk around and look. As much as we would love for people to come in and purchase artwork, that is not something that I don't think that we kind of have that. We don't put pressure on people or anything like that. We just want you to enjoy it. It's really a community space. Come in, see what your local and regional artists are creating, what they want to share with you. But I will say that there are, we also have really affordable artwork. You could find a piece that's absolutely gorgeous that you would pay the same amount for that's not original at like Target or, some of those other places. We have really, really talented, affordable artists and artwork in the gallery in the art center now, and we also have giftable items. So if you're thinking about your Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, weddings, graduation presents right now, teacher gifts, and then of course Christmas, any other holiday, we have pottery, ceramics, fabric items, jewelry, glass, stained glass, things like that are just really, really well slated for gifting.
So this is, in the nutshell, Anna has described everything that's local. And listen, we try to subscribe to supporting local here, and we try to trumpet it every time we talk about our businesses here on Max 98.3. That being stated, though, I mean, it's beautiful artwork that you can, it will look amazing on your wall. and it's done by a local artist.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something to be said for that. You know? And here's the other thing that's been really cool. You mentioned some of the items you got in there. You've had donations, like the table and chairs, and that was done by
David's Courage.
David's Courage. David's Courage.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a great working relationship with them too. You know, we're an all volunteer co-op. Okay, so all of our, well, I should say the majority of our artists who are displaying, they are required to provide some sort of service back to Heartland Arts Center. And there are levels of displaying artists. So some who just don't have the time and can't do it, you know, they're busy, maybe they're raising kids or something like that. There's a separate program for them. It's understandable. But, you know, we really value the cooperative nature of our organization. And so David's Courage, they create beautiful woodwork, you know, charcuterie boards and signage, and then they help create these beautiful cafe tables that we have in the Art Center. So, you know, side note, bring your lunch, bring your coffee, just come hang out,
That's
you know,
right.
meet your friend at Heartland and, you know, catch up. So there's a little space for that. But so they're, when David's Courage is displaying some of their works, then they also give back to the center. So especially that big first day, that March 1st moving day, oh my gosh, we had 15 of their guys, I think maybe a little more, and they worked from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. helping us move and getting, you know, all of our artwork and all of our, you know, equipment and furniture and everything over into the new building. So that's kind of part of our partnership with them. If I have something that I need moved, I give them a call, you know, and so because I know they're displaying their artwork, they're selling their work at the art center, and then they're getting, you know, payment for their organization. So it's a really cool partnership. We can depend on each other, and I'll be relying on them for the festival, you know, here at the end of July. And but that's kind of what our other artists do too. You know, they find a way to give back to Heartland, whether it's as a docent or they're teaching classes, they're helping with public art. They're serving on a committee, like I don't know, all the different committees that we have. Oh, they're cleaning, you know, sometimes they show up and they vacuum the floors and they're washing the windows. So, you know, and then a lot of people just are like, I have a really creative idea. I'd really like to run a program or do something like this. And I say, please go forth, conquer. So, you know, we just try to figure out the most creative ways to work with our creative people. Yeah.
And, you know, when did Heartland Artists start?
So they started as an organization. Sometimes they tell me it's the late 70s, but I think it's more like the early 80s, like 1980, 81. It started off, and they just started as a small group of artists who wanted to support each other and support their artwork. It started off in Herb Evelyn's classroom, so some folks might recognize that name. They probably maybe had him in high school.
Great man.
Yeah. So, and I had him too. Yeah. He designed our HA logo, so you know, a little bit of a legacy there. But yeah, Herb started this group along with Carolyn Babcock and a couple other of our, you know, pioneers, and they decided that they wanted to do some exhibits, and so they would exhibit, you know, in some church basements and the library, and they would just be kind of, you know, setting up shop. In fact, one of their first regional shows was held in the mezzanine at our current location, and so kind of a fun full circle situation. But and then they kind of grew a little bit, and then they got some, you know, little temporary gallery spaces here and there. Some there's a, you know, we call them like some back alley galleries. Excuse me. And so, but over time, as they continued to grow and got more support from the community, they got their first permanent gallery space in, I think it was like the early 90s. Well, I shouldn't say super permanent, but, you know, for a lot more long-term gallery space in the mid 90s, excuse me, when Ed Pullen was the president. And that was over, I think, where Ellen Ava Boutique is now. And then they got a really great deal from Susan Fortin was really supportive of the organization, and that's when they moved over to the LaPorte Street location right across from the Reese. So that's where we were for about 8 years until this lovely spot opened up for us. So
when did you become part of it?
I joined the board about 10 years ago, and so this is 2024. So I think it's 2015 when I joined just their advisory board.
Yeah. So
And
I got to ask this though, and the reason why is because you've been on for so long.
yeah.
Had there been discussion about expanding and how that was going to look, or was this Anna saying, "Okay, we got a problem here. We're getting too much stuff here and not enough space to work with it"?
I think that over the last maybe 3 years, we started noticing that it was just getting really cramped. We were growing in membership, right? And so what was happening is when our members display their artwork, they change it out every couple months, but we were running out of space, and we were minimizing the amount of space that the artists could display on. And that was frustrating. It was frustrating for the artists. It was frustrating for the curator. And, we want to make sure that, you try to please everybody, of course. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're smushing the artwork in, then it just looks cluttered. It doesn't lend itself to, people being able to really focus on something. You walk in and you're just kind of overwhelmed. And so we just sort of felt like, okay, well, we need more space. I mean, it was just so obvious, but where, And so over the last couple of years, I just sort of kept my eye out and, talked to some neighbors and talked to some folks like, if you have any ideas for a space, keep me posted. And, but then this space opened up and I was like, but it's like, that's a lot of building. That's a behemoth,
a lot of building.
And it was almost like, it almost seemed too much of a jump. Mm-hmm. But, everybody just got so excited about it. And when you see that enthusiasm build, you can't help but be inspired by all of that enthusiasm and decide, what, I think we're going to try to figure out a way to make this work. There were a lot of challenges to that, of course. I mean, funding, we are a 501c3, not-for-profit. We're all volunteers, save for one that is not me. I have an assistant that I pay to take care of all the things that bog me down, a lot of the administrative stuff. And so, but she gets paid in peanuts. So, when we're looking at like going from a small space to a really large location, we had to consider the financial burdens that would bring. But again, getting all the support that we had a wonderful donation for the down payment. I mean, when this started happening, it snowballed in like the best of ways. And so there was no saying no to moving into that space. It was too perfect. And then we also knew that like, well, not only do we get to expand for our displaying artists, but we get to expand our programming. We have demand for programming. We have demand for, teaching art classes and workshops and things like that. And not even just from here in Plymouth or Marshall County, from outside. And so we're in kind of a really big state of flux right now because we're trying to figure out, well, how do we accommodate all of that?
All of them, yeah.
Because it's also just a lot of work. But no, I mean, the building is just could not be more perfect for what it is that we're trying to do.
Well, I hope people appreciate the undertaking it took to get to this point, because it almost kind of gives you an ibuprofen moment, because like, wow, I can't believe this just got all pulled off in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and we never closed.
I mean, that's a short amount of time for what you have done over there.
Yeah, we never closed.
That's miracle work, quite frankly.
It was.
So I'm waiting for one of you guys to buy a small little pool and start walking on water. To do what you guys did is kind of unheard of.
Well, it's kind of that old, well, I'm not even going to call it an adage because I'm going to mess it up, but it's like, never underestimate the power of people who are determined to do something that they believe in and that they know is right for not just them. It's like this bigger thing, right? They believe not only in the art and the power of it, but like how transformative it is in a community. And then how this is also connecting the community. It's bringing people in. It's great for economic development. I mean, we could sit and talk about that kind of data and, make everybody go to sleep. But the point is that it strengthens the community.
It draws.
Ed Pullen, who was one of my predecessors and mentors. He was a president in the in the mid-90s. he says a town without an art gallery is just a truck stop. And, that could be,
That's
you
the
could
passion.
disagree with that, I suppose. But at the same time, it really is, when you look at art and you look at the data, you cannot argue the power that it has to actually create quality of place and create connection within community. And so I can't tell you, just in the 10 years that I've been doing this, how I've worked with other local organizations and other businesses, and how excited people get about collaborating and about finding different ways to work together. So just that right there is so inspirational.
Yeah.
And, it's right. You can't help but, I don't know. I think you can't help but want to get involved in it a little bit, because it's all positive and it's all for the good.
Yeah, and all you got to do is step through the doors. If you've not been able to do it.
And it's changing all the time. Like when you walk in, it's changing all the time, but you have access to it. You walk in the doors, you can walk around, you can grab a cup of coffee. We have a little coffee pot there that's, we just ask for like $1 to just help us, replace the pods. It's not a coffee shop, but you can also bring your coffee. You can bring your lunch. You can just come in and enjoy a beautiful creative space. I think it's really calming, it's relaxing, and we have some really great people who are just kind of popping in all the time creating. So
and you made it that way. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started our conversation, man, you go in there and everything else just leaves.
Yeah.
It's just you just the influence in the environment just draws you into every little thing you got in there.
Yeah.
That's special. That's when you know you got something special.
Yeah. And if you love live music, we've started a little program on Saturdays called Saturday Sounds at the Center. And, you go to the farmer's market, maybe hit the trains at the museum. As soon as the trains wrap up, come on over to Heartland from 11:30 to 12:30, and it's free live music. And there are local folks coming in. People are like, oh, is it like an open mic? It's not really, but it really features those artists who are typically not performing artists yet. Maybe they're coming in and they're trying some things out, but it really is just a solo person. And so you can check our Facebook page out for the events and who's kind of lined up to perform. But it's, just come in, bring your lunch, bring your coffee, listen to some live music, grab something from the, some tacos from the farmer's market and walk on down. And yeah.
Now, I mean, you guys are so involved, as if you're not involved enough.
Yeah.
You guys got some events you're going to be part of. I know I was just reading down a list of what about Downtown Merchants going to be doing. You're going to be involved with the June 20th event. And then you're going to have the big event at the end of July.
Yes.
And this one, and I told you now, I don't know if you remember, I told you you're on a journey where this is going to get bigger and bigger.
It is.
And sure enough, the Heartland artists stepping up with another big street event. And folks, if this is just a date you got to mark down on your calendar. It is literally awesome. And it showcases not only our local talent, and you can literally sit down, listen to live music hourly. You can enjoy the great food that's going to be on hand. So I'm just telling you, folks, the exact date for our event is going to be, what date is it again?
It's Saturday, July 27th from 10 to 5. Yeah,
we're going to be there.
Yes,
it's going to be a blast. Last year we talked to so many wonderful people. 50% of them were local. The other 50% were visitors.
Coming in from out of town,
out of county. That's when things are doing things right.
Yeah,
and this is just a fun event. So
it's such a fun event.
But you know what? I know I've been talking you up here because the truth is the truth. But it takes on Anna Kitzman's personality. Honest to God,
wow.
It does. It does. It takes on that personality, and because your enthusiasm and passion and stuff is contagious.
Well, that's good. I hope.
It is.
Yeah.
No, and I know you probably don't hear that enough. So let me tell you in front of what now over 4,000 who've been listening here so far, that you are contagious. You are a good cup of coffee when it comes to sitting down, talking about just life in general, and then you just shine when it's the event time. So like I'm saying, this is this is right up your alley, what you're doing on the 27th, and that it gives that special personal touch.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, especially, when you kind of get into the weeds on things that, you just... It's nice to hear the positive stuff. So
well, you should.
I appreciate that.
And I'm sorry you don't hear it enough.
No, I get a lot of good support. I really do. But again, like when things are,
when some days are down,
it's always good to keep you going. Again, it inspires you to keep that one step in front of the other.
Now I know we're going to have you on next month before we have the actual event, but. How solidified are you with everything? I
am pretty good with the event this year. I don't want to make any promises about anything, but there could be another big change to it. We had a board meeting last night, and I think I'm going to be doing a slight expansion, but I'll confirm that here pretty soon. Nevertheless, what I can say is that last year we had about 50 artists. This year we have about 75. I have about 40 on the waiting list.
Wow.
But not only that, I have some great nonprofits that are showing up this year that they're joining us in the not only sharing information about their organizations, but they're required to have some sort of a creative experience at their booth. So one of the things that I think sets our art festival apart, it's not just your average art festival. Yes, there are art booths, and I am so excited to have these creative individuals coming, creating, selling their products, getting people excited about shopping locally and all of that. But a really important component to our festival that like I said, sets it apart is the arts experiences that people get to have. They get to try things out. They get to play. And it's all free. Okay, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't get to try out different art mediums or different forms of creativity is because it costs money and things are expensive and also time, right? Sometimes we just don't have time, but this is a great way to try your hand at all different types of mediums. So there's painting opportunities. There are going to be some musical opportunities this year, which I'm really excited about. Thanks to Maggie Kubley. And we have, anything from weaving, and of course we have our face painters coming, and we have our chalk artists coming back. Cannot wait. But just being able to just get your hands a little bit dirty, try some new things, make something you may have never made before, take it home too. And then of course we're going to have some collaborative projects too. So people are all going to have an opportunity to contribute to a piece that brings our community together.
Yep.
And so I really love that portion of our festival too. Of course, like you mentioned, we have live music on the hour, and because we've extended by 2 hours this year, so if some of you remember, from 10 to 3, this year we'll be going from 10 to 5, which actually, I think that was a huge turning point in getting even more artists. In fact, I know that my favorite caricaturist is coming back because we extended the hours, and so there are going to be, like I said, so a couple more additional musical performances, and then of course there's a couple more food trucks. I try not to do a ton of food trucks because we have some really great downtown eateries here that we want to have people patronize, but I'm also anticipating a lot more people, so a lot more visitors. Yeah, I mean, if the registrations for the vendors, the artists are any indication, I think that means we're going to get even more folks coming downtown. So
fantastic.
I think that means we have to have a little more food.
I agree.
But I think everybody will do fine that way. There will be a beer and wine tent again, and then I think, did I cover it all pretty much? Yeah, I think so.
Well, we're going to have it back again, I think, the week of for this event.
Yeah. We'll be more solidified. I'll know exactly what's,
And so
going to be happening.
I'm excited already. I got goosebumps even thinking about it.
Cool.
These are one of my favorite remotes that we get a chance to do because it's so unique and it's so cool that we can promote local with this art festival. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, good.
Well, I've taken up a little bit too much of your time, and I apologize for
Never.
that.
I will talk about this for hours if you want me to.
Well, I appreciate you giving us some time to talk about it now, set the stage for what's to come, and mark it down in your calendar. the 27th of July, and it all starts at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Here in downtown Plymouth, right on Michigan.
Can I just give one little quick?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
If you're interested in volunteering, I need volunteers. You will get a really cool festival t-shirt. And if you work a couple shifts, you'll also get a really cool tote bag. And if you're a setup person, there's donuts and coffee. So if you want to help out with, some arts experiences, if you're a physical person and want to help do some setup or tear down, trust me, I have a place for you. It's a 2.5-hour shift minimum. Get on our website or you can email me, heartlandartistsgallery@gmail.com. But if you go on our website, heartlandartgallery.com, there is an Arts in the Street tab and there's a volunteer button. So I'd love your help.
Anna Kitzman, she's awesome. Go see her right across the street from us here at Heartland Art Center, and just get an experience. That's the best way to explain this. So I'm excited, ready for July 27th already. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And Anna, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right, that's it for the show. Have yourself a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine and have a great weekend. And we will talk to you a little bit around lunchtime. And we'll be live at Dustin's Place Golf Outing, and we'll be promoting them and talking about how big that fundraiser golf outing is for them as well. So we'll join you in a few hours here on Max 98.3. By the way, because of our programming change, we will not have Sports Talk on the Max. We'll resume it on next Friday. All right, kids, enjoy the sunshine and have a great weekend.